Hey, welcome back to Living Richardson Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Richardson, and today's episode is called When Healing Feels Like Losing: How I Found Myself as a Mom. Healing is not always this clean, beautiful, upward journey. Sometimes it feels like you are mourning a version of yourself you worked really hard to become. And for me, I didn't just lose an identity. I lost friendships, a sense of safety, my grip on who I thought I was. But in the middle of it, while raising 3 kids, managing CPTSD and PMDD, and trying to rebuild my life after a very public lawsuit, I found something steady. Something good. I found the thing that still brought me joy was being a mom. I used to think healing was something I could check off a list. Like go to therapy, check. Unfollow toxic people, check. Set boundaries, check. Buy a self-help book and light a candle, check. Done, healed. Namaste, bitches. But healing doesn't work like that. It's not a mountaintop you reach and suddenly feel lighter, enlightened, and free. It's more like wading through mud. Some days you're steady, some days you sink, and some days you wonder if you're even moving at all. Nobody tells you that healing can be more painful than the trauma itself, because now you're actually feeling everything you used to numb. You're peeling off layers you've worn for survival. You're facing truths you once buried because you had to. The lie is that healing will make you happy right away. But the truth? Healing will wreck you before it rebuilds you. Because you're not just removing pain, you're removing identities, defenses, and belief systems that once made you feel safe. And let me tell you, when I started healing, it was lonely. I wasn't fun anymore. I wasn't always available. I was quieter. I cried more. I said no more. I stopped pretending. And people noticed not to check in, but to withdraw. That part hurt me more than I expected. Because I thought healing would make me easier to love. But for some people, it made me inconvenient. And that's when I realized healing isn't the reward. Healing is the rebellion. It's the moment you choose yourself, your truth, your peace, your future over what's familiar, even when it costs you people, places, and pieces of your old self. And maybe the worst part, the days when you look in the mirror and miss that old version of you. The one who smiled more because she didn't feel safe enough to stop. The one who said yes to everything because she thought she had to earn her place. The one who carried everyone else because she didn't know she could let someone carry her. I miss her sometimes, but I don't want to be her again. Because the woman I'm becoming, she's grounded. She's awake, she's raw, she's real. She might cry more, she might say no more, but she's free. One of the hardest parts of my healing journey wasn't just what I had to face. It was who I had to let go. There were friends who disappeared the moment I stopped being entertaining or agreeable. People I once considered safe, who couldn't handle the version of me that stopped shrinking. One of the hardest and most painful parts of healing has been realizing that some people only liked me when I was performing. Not on a stage, not in a role, but in life. They liked me as the entertainment, the funny one, the girl who can make a room laugh through the pain, who could carry a conversation, carry the energy, carry them. But the second I stopped playing that part, the second I showed up as the 35-year-old mother who has been through some things, who has survived immense trauma, who's grieving, healing, unraveling, suddenly I was too much. Not fun anymore. Hard to be around. Suddenly people didn't know how to handle me. They wanted the Sam who could make jokes about chaos, but not the Sam who was tired of living inside of it. And this has shown up everywhere, in my family, in friendships, in professional circles, even in how I'm treated as a creator. People love to label other people. Some people liked the idea of me. They just didn't respect the reality of me. And that hurts because it makes you question if anyone ever truly saw you or just the version of you that kept them comfortable. I've been treated like a child in grown-up rooms. Like I couldn't possibly be taken seriously. Like I was too emotional, too dramatic, too damaged. And yet, those same people had no problem calling on me to be loud, to be funny, to make content for them. But here's what I know now. That version of me, the life of the party, the people-pleasing chameleon, that was never my full self. That was my armor. And yes, I still laugh, I still make jokes, I still dance in the kitchen with my kids. But I don't perform anymore to earn a seat at tables where I was never actually respected. If my depth makes you uncomfortable, you were only ever interested in the shallowest version of me anyway. Healing has taught me this. Not everyone is meant to stay. Not everyone will clap when you grow. And not everyone deserves to access the healed version of you. If you're in a season where you're outgrowing people who liked the edited version of you, let them go. And know that the ones who see you now, the real, whole, healing you, those are the ones worth building with. When I found my voice, when I started speaking up, fighting back, and showing up online with truth instead of perfection, people got uncomfortable, especially the ones who benefited from my silence. Especially during the lawsuit. I was isolated, judged, picked apart. Some of the loudest critics were people I thought were in my corner. But that was the gift and the grief. Healing taught me who was for me and who was just familiar. I don't hate the people I lost along the way. I just love the peace that came from finally letting them go. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. A full decade of my life wrapped around nap schedules, bedtime routines, butt wiping, and forgotten coffee cups. 10 years of being the default parent, the constant, the human safety net, the mom echo that never quite stops. Until one day it does. This year, all 3 of my kids started school full-time. And suddenly, my house is quiet. First, I welcomed it. The stillness felt like a reward, a breath, a break I didn't know I needed. But after a few days, I was just standing in the kitchen, staring out the window like, now what? I had spent so long in the doing, in the giving, in the chaos, I never prepared for the quiet that would follow. And when I finally got it, the peace I used to fantasize about, I didn't feel free. I felt lost. Because if I'm not actively needed, constantly serving, always doing something for someone else, who am I? I didn't realize how much of my identity was tied up in being the one who shows up, the one who remembers the appointments, who folds the laundry, who makes it all happen. That became who I was. It wasn't just a role. It was my existence. And now that space has opened up, space I used to beg for, cry for. I'm realizing how terrifying it can be when you no longer have an excuse to avoid your own becoming. Because healing gets louder in the quiet. The grief you've buried starts to knock on your door. The dreams you pushed down while you were in survival mode start whispering, "What now?" Motherhood used to be the thing that filled every corner of my day. Now, it's still everything, but it's not the only thing. And I'm learning how to exist outside of the job description. I miss the version of me who was too busy to feel everything. The one who didn't have time to ask, what do I want? Who do I want to be now? But I know this space isn't here to punish me. It's here to invite me. to slow down, to listen, to reintroduce myself. And maybe that's the scariest and most sacred part of this new chapter. Not the loss of my role, but the chance to find out who I am when I'm not performing one. Healing while mothering is like trying to rebuild a house during an earthquake. You don't get silence, you don't get solitude, you don't get to step away from your responsibilities while you figure out how to feel safe in your own body again. Instead, you're washing sippy cups with shaky hands. You're getting screamed at by a toddler while trying to calm the screams in your own head. You're Googling therapists in the preschool pickup line, hoping someone takes your freaking insurance. I'm healing from trauma I didn't ask for while trying to not pass it down to people I love more than anything. And that's the heaviest kind of love. One that holds responsibility, accountability, and generational weight. There have been days when I couldn't get out of bed. Days when I've yelled louder than I'd like to admit. Days when I've sat on the bathroom floor with the door locked, crying so hard I forgot why I was crying in the first place. Days where my PMDD made me question if I was even cut out for this life. And still, dinner gets made. Homework gets signed. Bedtime snuggles still happen. Because mothers don't get to opt out when we're unraveling. That's what makes healing as a mom so complicated. You're constantly questioning, am I doing enough? Am I ruining them? Will they remember the yelling or the hugs? And the truth is, they might remember both, but they'll also remember that you tried. My kids are seeing a version of me I never got to witness growing up. Someone who is healing out loud. Someone who apologizes, who owns her stuff, who shows them it's okay to fall apart and still be worthy of love. I used to carry so much shame around not being a gentle parent every second of the day. But what I've learned is this. My kids don't need perfection. They need repair. They need modeling. They need truth. They need to know that big emotions don't mean abandonment. That saying, I was wrong, is powerful. That growth doesn't require you to be healed first. It asks you to keep showing up even when you're not. Listen, I've shown up messy. I've shown up scared. I've shown up in ways I wish I could redo. But I've never stopped showing up. And that alone is the work. There's this version of me I used to be. And I've been grieving her. Not because she was happy, not because she was healthy, but because she was familiar. She knew how to survive. She knew how to smile when she was screaming inside. She knew how to keep the peace in a room even when she was falling apart. That version of me was strong in all the wrong ways. She was the one who tolerated too much, apologized for things that weren't her fault, and made herself small so other people could feel comfortable. She wasn't thriving. She was managing. She was coping. She was enduring. And I miss her sometimes. Not because I want to go back, but because she kept me alive long enough to become this version of me. She showed up when no one else did. She fought in the silence. She laughed loud to drown out the fear. She protected me in the best way she knew how. But now I don't want to just survive. So that means I had to let her go. That's a kind of death no one prepares you for. You start saying no to things you used to accept. You stop explaining yourself, shrinking yourself, bending yourself to be liked. And people start noticing, but not in the way you hope. They say, you've changed, you're not like you used to be. And I say, thank God. But deep down, there's a sting. I still want people to love this new me the same way they did when I was plattable. Sometimes grief isn't about what was taken from you. It's about what you had to walk away from. Healing doesn't mean I'm always confident in who I am now. It means I'm choosing her, this current version of me, even when it feels lonely. Even when I miss the girl who smiled through the pain. Even when I wonder if people liked me better when I was pretending. But this version of me, she breathes deeper. She loves harder. She sees clearer. And she may not be as fun as I used to be, but she's free. With everything I've let go of, identities, relationships, old versions of myself, the one thing that never left me was motherhood. Even in the hardest seasons, when I was spiraling, numb, too exhausted to function, there were still little voices calling me back into my body. Mommy, can you help me? Mommy, look what I made. Mommy, I love you. I'd look into their faces and think, how can I be falling apart and still be someone's everything? And that's the thing. I didn't lose myself in motherhood. I held on to myself through it. It wasn't motherhood that broke me. It was the pressure to perform perfectly, to parent while pretending I was okay. Motherhood didn't erase me. It revealed the strongest, softest, realest parts of me. It's where I found my voice again, where I learned to listen to my intuition, trust my body, and fight for things that matter. It's where I stopped asking for permission to exist and just did. When I was at my lowest, it wasn't ambition or external success that pulled me up. It was the steady rhythm of caring for my kids. The fact that even on days I couldn't care for myself, I still braided hair, packed lunches, advocated at schools, booked therapy appointments, and showed the hell up. And now that I'm healing, truly healing, I'm not rushing to escape motherhood. I'm honoring it. The version that exists now, not the identity loss, but the grounded, intentional, connected kind. Motherhood is not all I am, but it's the part of me that made the rest of me impossible to ignore. My kids didn't just witness my survival. They've watched me rise. They've watched me repair. They've even seen what it looks like to be broken and brave in the same breath. That's the legacy I care about. If you're listening to this and thinking, that's where I am, that's how I feel, I want to leave you with this. You are not broken for struggling. You are not behind for grieving. You are not dramatic, too sensitive, or too much for needing time to become someone new. Healing isn't a finish line. It's a return. A slow, sacred return to the version of you that existed before the world told you who to be. And that's okay if you don't have it all figured out yet. You're allowed to rebuild as slowly as you need to. I know how hard it is to heal while mothering. To feel like your kids are watching while you fall apart and try to get back up. To carry the weight of your past while trying to create something lighter for them. But I promise you, they see you. Not the mess, not the mistakes. They see your presence, your effort, your love. They see that you stayed even when it was hard. If this episode held something for you, if it made you feel a little less alone, I want to invite you to something that's not just mine, it's ours. The Silent Mother Project. It is a nonprofit I created for mothers like us, the ones who survived the unspeakable, carried, silent grief and kept showing up anyway. It's not a space for perfection. It's a space for truth, for story, for healing, for sitting with one another in the quiet moments and saying, I've been there and I'm still here. We host in-person and virtual meetups. We share stories. We hold space. And we're building a movement rooted in the belief that no mother should have to suffer in silence. So if you want to join us, share your story, or just be held in community, please visit thesilentmotherproject.com. You are so welcome there. You don't have to be fixed to belong. You just have to be real. And if you are still becoming, still learning, still rising, then you're already enough. Thank you so much for being here and spending time with me. I will see you next time.